All right, Raiders fans, buckle up because today we're diving into one of the most exciting trade rumors floating around the NFL, and yeah, it involves a name that should get your adrenaline pumping, Terry McLaurin, better known as Scary Terry. Fox Sports has officially linked him to the Las Vegas Raiders, and even though it might sound like a fantasy, I'm here to tell you why it's not as far-fetched as you might think. If you're one of those people already shaking your head saying, "No way that ever happens," let me stop you right there. The NFL has shown us time and time again that nothing is impossible. Trades go down every year that nobody saw coming. And if the Raiders have a chance to land one of the most consistent wide receivers in the league, they need to at least try to make it happen. Let's be real, when you think about Terry McLaurin, you think about reliability. This dude has dealt with more quarterback chaos than just about any other receiver in the league. And yet he still produces every single year. Different head coaches, different defensive coordinators, different schemes, it doesn't matter. McLaurin shows up, handles his business, and puts up numbers. Last season, with the rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels, he had a career-best campaign, racking up 13 touchdowns, and while Daniels deserves his credit, you can't overlook the role Terry played in helping that young QB settle into the league. That kind of leadership and production is exactly what the Raiders' offense needs. And if you can pair that with the pieces already in place, you're looking at one of the most dangerous skill groups in the entire AFC West. Let's talk about that group for a second. You've got Brock Bowers, a freak talent at tight end, Ashton Jeanty, a running back with legit top 5 upside, Jakobi Meyers, a rock-solid wideout who might be one of the most underrated players in the league. Now imagine adding McLaurin to that mix. That's a receiving corps that can match up with anyone. Honestly, that might be the best defensive lineup in the division. Yeah, even better than what Patrick Mahomes is working with in Kansas City. And no, I'm not saying Geno Smith is on Mahomes' level, but with the right weapons around him, Geno doesn't have to be. He just needs to run the offense efficiently, distribute the ball, and let his playmakers do their thing. And with guys like McLaurin, Bowers, Jeanty, and Meyers, the playmakers are already lined up. Now let's address the elephant in the room, the chances of this trade actually happening. Look, I know it's a long shot. I'm not here to sell you a dream and pretend it's likely, but again, don't forget, nobody thought the Raiders would land Davante Adams, and yet it happened. The NFL is unpredictable. That's part of the beauty of it. What matters is that the door isn't closed. And with Fox Sports identifying Vegas as a perfect landing spot for McLaurin, it's at least worth having the conversation. So why would this trade make sense beyond just fantasy football dreams? First off, it's all about connections. In the NFL, relationships matter, and there's a big one here between Pete Carroll and Dan Quinn. These to go way back to their days with the Seattle Seahawks, working side by side for 6 years. Quinn has spoken multiple times about how much respect he has for Carroll. And in a league where massive trades often need that little extra nudge to get over the line, this connection could be the X factor. If Carroll picks up the phone and says, "Hey Dan, I've got something for you," you better believe Quinn's going to listen. And if both sides think they can help each other out, a deal isn't out of the question. Second point, the Raiders have been actively looking for a true number 1 receiver. And no shade to Jakobi Meyers because, again, I think he's criminally underrated. But if Vegas wants to give Geno Smith every chance to succeed, they need a guy who can dominate on the outside, who can stretch the field and be that go-to option in crunch time. That's Terry McLaurin, and the fact that the Raiders reportedly explored trading for DK Metcalf earlier this year only proves that they're in the market. If they're willing to pick up the phone for DK, they should absolutely be considering McLaurin, who, by the way, might actually be a better fit in this offense. And let's not ignore what's happening in Washington. The Commanders have a cap situation to manage, and McLaurin wants to get paid. He's already skipped some of the off-season workouts, which is always the first warning sign. He's looking for a new deal, and he's not going to come cheap. We're talking about $30 million per year minimum. That's the going rate for a top-tier wide receiver right now. And if you ask me, he's worth it. If you're not willing to pay that for a guy like Scary Terry, then you probably shouldn't be in the business of building an elite offense. But here's where things get interesting. The Raiders can afford to pay him. They've got the cap space. And they don't need to play the usual financial gymnastics that some other teams do. They could offer McLaurin the kind of deal he's looking for and do it without blowing up the rest of the roster. That's a huge advantage. And if Vegas is really trying to build for a playoff push, and not just a flash-in-the-pan wild card run, but a legit contender over the next few seasons, then bringing in a guy like McLaurin sends the right message. Let's zoom out a bit and talk about the bigger picture. The Raiders' window, if we're being honest, isn't necessarily 2025. It's more like 2026, maybe even 2027. That's when you want to be peaking, so you go get a guy like McLaurin now, lock him in during his prime, and tie him to your core. Geno Smith, Max Crosby, Brock Bowers, McLaurin, that's a group you can build around. You give this offense time to gel, let the defense continue to improve, and suddenly you're looking at a team that's not just hoping to sneak into the playoffs. You're talking about one that can make some real noise when they get there, and before anyone says the defense isn't ready, yeah, there are concerns. Especially with Christian Wilkins potentially needing surgery, that's a massive blow. But if you can't fix everything on one side of the ball, maybe the answer is to load up the other. Score more points, be aggressive if the defense is going to be average or even slightly below. Fine, then go be a top 5 offense and win. Shootouts, you can't replace Wilkins with anyone off the street. But you can go at a weapon like McLaurin and tilt the field in your favor. Now I know what some of you are thinking. What would a trade like this actually cost? Well, there are a few possibilities. One idea that came from someone close to the Commanders suggested a package including Jacoby Myers, Tyree Wilson, and a second-round pick in 2026. Honestly, that's not bad value. You're not giving up a first-rounder, and Washington gets a solid receiver, a promising edge rusher, and a high pick down the line. Another offer mirrored the DK Metcalf deal, McLaurin and a 6th-rounder to Vegas, in exchange for a 2nd and a 7th. Clean, simple, and again, no first-rounders involved. Then there's my own proposed deal. This one keeps Jacoby in Vegas, which I'd prefer, and instead sends Trey Tucker, Tyree Wilson, a 2nd-round pick, and one of those projected comp picks from the 5th round. Washington gets a young, cheap receiver with upside, a high potential pass rusher, and solid draft capital. Let's be clear, I'm not saying any of these trades are guaranteed to go through, but they're realistic, and more importantly, they show that Vegas wouldn't have to mortgage the future to get a deal done. If you're serious about giving Geno Smith the weapons he needs and setting up this franchise for the next 3 to 5 years, then making a move like this is exactly the kind of bold, forward-thinking decision you have to be willing to make. Coming up next, I'll break down how McLaurin ranks among the top receivers in the league and why I've got him slotted ahead of some big names that might surprise you. Now let's talk rankings, because I know that's where the debates really get fired up. Is Terry McLaurin a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL right now? In my book, the answer is yes, and not just barely. I've got him locked in at number 7. I know that might raise some eyebrows, but let me break it down. When you look at what McLaurin has accomplished with the quarterbacks he's had, and let's be honest, it's been a revolving door of mediocrity. It's actually incredible that he's been able to put up the numbers he has. He doesn't complain. He doesn't take plays off. He just puts his head down and performs. And you can't say that about every so-called star in the league. Now, some people might want to argue names like Nico Collins or even Tyreek Hill ahead of him. But I'll be real with you, I've got Terry over both. Nico has had his moments, but he hasn't had the same kind of consistency or pressure as McLaurin. And with Tyreek, yeah, he's explosive, but I do wonder if he's starting to slow down just a bit. Terry's game is more balanced. He's fast, physical, crisp with his roots, and he brings a toughness that doesn't always show up on stat sheets but absolutely impacts games. He's the kind of guy that makes everyone around him better. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are starting to circulate around the NFL community, and they're not painting a pretty picture for the Las Vegas Raiders. According to close sources and locker room murmurs, running back Ashton Jeanty may already be having second thoughts about joining the Silver and Black. The former Boise State standout, who came into the league with plenty of hype and promise, has reportedly expressed deep regret over his decision to sign with the Raiders, allegedly calling it "my worst choice." While no official statement has been released by Jeanty or the Raiders organization, the speculation gained momentum after a cryptic comment attributed to the young RB surfaced in an informal post-practice chat. "I thought this would be the right step, but honestly, this might be my worst choice," he reportedly told a teammate, who then shared the sentiment off record. The context remains unclear, but insiders suggest that Jeanty has been frustrated with his role, lack of touches, and what some are describing as a chaotic team environment. Sources close to the situation hint at growing dissatisfaction not just with the coaching strategy, but with the broader culture inside the Raiders' locker room. For a player known for his work ethic and explosive talent, the adjustment to a team still in a rebuilding phase may not be going as smoothly as anticipated. It's worth noting that Jeanty came into the league with multiple options on the table, and his choice to sign with Las Vegas raised eyebrows at the time. Now, with this latest revelation, many are wondering if he's already eyeing a way out. Could a trade be on the horizon? Or is this simply a moment of frustration being blown out of proportion? Only time will tell whether these rumors hold weight, or if they're just part of the usual growing pains that come with adapting to life in the NFL. But one thing's for sure, the noise around Ashton Jeanty and the Raiders is getting louder. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.